Hey, good morning. Welcome back to part 2 of my pieces on Go Anywhere, Do Anything watches, the Gada watches, the everyday carries, whatever term that one wants to use. Yesterday we had the introduction that talked about the characteristics of our everyday watches. Today we're going to go into about 6 or maybe 7 of some of the specific pieces from my collection. Before I get started though, I've got a couple of things. We talked a little bit about TGV yesterday and remembrances of him and his mom. And in light of that, got a little toy here. Here's the little T-Rex. So TGV, we're thinking of you and hope that you're doing okay. Additionally, this cap that I've got on my bald head, this belonged to my dad. Now my dad died a couple of years ago in the midst of COVID. It wasn't COVID that got him, but Dad didn't help. Anyway, my dad was a baseball player as a kid growing up, and he was a great ball player. He was a great athlete, far better than I ever dreamt of being. And he actually got a professional contract offer in the 1950s. Of course, they didn't make much money back then, before Andy Messerschmidt in the early 70s made the first $1 million contract. As a professional baseball player, you traveled around the country on a bus, non-air conditioned, and it wasn't a very nice lifestyle and weren't paid very much. So he elected to take his degree from Dartmouth and go into business for himself. But this was his hat at Dartmouth College, just outside of Hanover in New Hampshire, Ivy League school, and he was a great guy, great man. Yeah, miss him an awful lot. Anyway, let's get down to what we're here to talk about today. So for our Gada watches, I gave you a list of characteristics yesterday that I feel are important in an everyday watch. One of the things that I left out in the discussion yesterday was water resistance. Was that intentional? No, just a dummy oversight on my part. But water resistance is important in terms of that everyday use. If you were going to go to the pool or go to the beach or it's raining, whatever the case may be. So typically I would look for about 100 meters. Now one of our watches today only has 50 meters of water resistance, which would be fine for, in the rain or washing your hands or possibly doing the dishes or something to that effect. But it's probably not one that I'm going to actually swim with. But as I always say, I don't take my watches into the water. I take them off, I put them down, and I put them back on again. Now, a colleague did make a comment to me on that topic one day about, depending on where you are, you may not want to put that watch down because it may not be there when you come back. So for me, obviously, I think it almost goes without saying, take the watch off, put it into my wallet or my bag, along with other valuables that I don't want out for anyone to see, and thereby mitigate any possibility that item would walk away. Anyway, water resistance is an important criteria for what we're looking at today. Most of the ones we have are 100 meters, a couple of them are even 200 meters, and that should suffice to cover any of the issues that you might have with exposure to water. Okay, wristwatch check. As always, we like to show what we're wearing today. This one I just got in yesterday, and I'm very pleased with it. It is a Monroe Mechachrome chronograph. So MonroeAdventures.com, located in the UK. And I have several of their watches. I have a couple of the Ocean Adventures, and I just got this one in yesterday. As I said, it's a Mecha Quartz movement from Seiko. You'll see that in a lot of affordably priced chronographs. It is a hybrid of a quartz and a mechanical movement. All of the power comes from a battery, even for the chronograph function. So there's no winding, there's no automatic movement, there's none of that. But, as you'll see, the chronograph hand still moves very, very smoothly with a mechanical precision. And as with any chronograph, pushers stop, start, and reset the dial. This one, as you can see, is in a fume burgundy to black color with a black tachymeter bezel around the outside. I've put this on the included rubber strap. The bracelet that it came on wasn't sized properly for me. Not that he was going to. It comes one size and then you adjust it yourself. But I didn't have the time yesterday to fit it. So I just swapped out for the strap. Wore to work yesterday. I was supposed to fly, got canceled. Bummer. But what can you do? That's how the flying life goes. Sometimes you fly, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it rains. All right, let's get into the individual pieces that we're going to talk about today. The first specific watch that we're going to take a quick view at is my Kronos Silver Birch. This one is done in a Grand Seiko birch style, sub $200. Nice watch. It is a great option if you're on a budget. In fact, I saw it available today on AliExpress for under $200. Great deal. So strengths of this one, it's a perfect size. It's got a very classic style. It has pretty good finishing for the money. Has a really good looking dial, and it's a great value. However, the bracelet is a little bit underwhelming. The movement, a PT5000, is probably a little bit uncertain as to the long-term viability of that particular movement. And I'd say the lume is average. But again, on this watch, if budget and affordability is one of your primary concerns, this is a pretty good choice. Secondly, we've got the Erebus Ascent. So I did a video in depth on my Erebus watches. Erebus, Erebi, Erebuses. Not sure how you pluralize that. And that is my lack of the ability to speak the English language properly. But the Ascent is a wonderful watch. All of the details on it are on the slide for you to take a look at. The watch itself, the one in particular that I'm going to refer to, is the mother of pearl dial. I got mine in the 41 millimeter size. I could have gone with the 39, and I think I'd have gotten away with it, but I wanted one that was just a little bit bigger. That mother of pearl dial is absolutely beautiful. Jody and Mr. P have put together a great line of watches. In fact, I've just pre-ordered their brand new Ascent GMT. Can't wait till it gets here. This one is in a black dial with gold highlighted indices and hands. Looks beautiful. Can't wait to get that watch. But the Ascent, again, great size. It may be a little bit bigger at a 41 for some people, so that 39 is available. And if you happen to have smaller hands and wrists, a 36 is available as well. Again, like we talked about in the Erebus video, there is a myriad of choice and options available with this particular model. Classic style, very good finishing, great value for the money. Lume on this is a little bit average, but it works just fine. So I don't see that as a detriment. The movement, the Miyota 9015, is a little bit noisy. But again, as I said in the previous video, that's not a factor for me. It doesn't bother me at all. So if you're looking for a good, solid, value, everyday watch, the Erebus is a fantastic choice. Moving on to ASEAN. ASEAN is from Hong Kong, small company, very, very nice watches. I've got two that I've purchased from them. The one in particular that we're going to look at today is their GMT. This GMT is a good everyday watch. It's a good size. It has a good quality movement in the Miyota 9075, that true GMT. The downside on this one is I think it may be just a little bit busy in the dial and in the face of that watch. There are a lot of numbers on there. Thank goodness it doesn't have a GMT bezel on it as well. That would have made it just a little bit overwhelming in terms of your everyday watch. Functionality, yeah. But everyday use, probably a little bit much. As we said, it is a true GMT. I really like the octagonal cutouts in that bezel. I think that adds a unique character to the watch. Yes, it's reminiscent of some 70s watches, but I do think that adds an awful lot to the design of this one. As I said, the dial is a little bit cluttered. Being a true GMT, it does require a little bit of extra effort to change the date. It isn't a quick adjust with the date, but that's not that big of a deal. It may take a couple extra minutes at most to change the date, but no real big deal. Lume on this one, again, average. I do wish that this had case hardening, particularly with that look of the integrated sports watch, making it a little bit more difficult to change out to a different type of strap. But overall, I think this is a good choice, a balance between value and cost. It is a little bit more expensive than the Ascent, but I think it's in the ballpark in terms of quality. Moving to the Henry Archer, I love the Henry Archer line. Great quality watches. I love the design, and they always specify Danish design. I like the materials that they use, particularly the meteorites. Those are fantastic. I really like the overall integration of that package and how it adds up together to being more than the sum of its parts. I think the size is perfect. It has a classic style. My particular piece, called the Timeline, is a triple date or triple calendar. So it has the date, the day, and the month indicated with that bicompact subdial look. It is a little bit more complex of a dial, but I don't think that it impacts the legibility or the look of this watch in any way. In fact, I find it to be positive, particularly since I like bicompact style of watches in my chronographs. I think this adds an awful lot to this watch. This watch is a little bit more costly than the others, so it's above the average. The average cost of the watches that we're looking at today is about $615. This one is a little bit more than that. But I do think that you're getting quality for your money, and it is a worthwhile consideration. We've also got the Zelos Helica. Now this watch is spectacular. In fact, some may say that it's a little too dressy for an everyday watch. I don't find it to be too dressy. But that Dia-shaped dial is absolutely spectacular. Again, great size, nice bracelet, classic three-hand style with a date window, good movement, the Miyota 9015. I think you're getting a lot of watch for the money. The legibility on it is impacted by that detailed dial. However, I don't find it to be illegible in any way. Again, with the Miyota 9015, the rotor is a little bit noisy. You do get a little bit of noise with it. But again, I don't find that as a detraction. Some people do, and that's perfectly fine. But for me, not really an issue. So for this, it's a really nice watch. It has that gorgeous dial. And I do think, as with most all of the Zelos line, they are very good value watches. I did a video not too long ago on the Heinrich Watches. And this one has been my most viewed video. I think it has maybe like 5 views instead of 1. Okay, yeah, the one was me. No, but it has been my most viewed video. And Heinrich watches are superb. They are a little bit more expensive. So this particular one that we're looking at today, the Helicoprion and the red tiger's eye, it's a little under $1,000. And that's a pretty high price for a micro brand watch. However, what you're getting for that $1,000 is superb. Great finishing. A regulated Swiss Solida 200 movement. You're getting a great design inspired by some of the great watches from the 70s. You're getting great lume and legibility. You have the best water resistance of the entire list that we're looking at here today at 200 meters. And it's an overall great look. Has a nice beads of rice bracelet, but that can be swapped out for anything else that you would like, whether it be a leather strap. Probably wouldn't put it on an FKM rubber, but you could. It's up to you. Or another model of another style of bracelet. Easily done. Quick release spring bars on that bracelet. So again, toolless bracelet or strap change. Now, in summary, this watch, it is a little bit costly. However, if price is not your number one consideration, this is a superb piece. Highly, highly recommended. The last one we're going to talk about in this list is the Mandela Mark III from Second Hour. Again, did another video not too long ago on this watch where you can get all of the details on it, but this is a superb offering. I find that guilloche dial is absolutely beautiful. Mine is in that very light blue, as you can see in the photos and in the video. It has nice finishing. Again, that perfect size. It's the slimmest of the watches that we're looking at today, so it can fit right underneath that dress cuff. It is a classic sports watch styling. So specifically designed to be a go anywhere, do anything type of watch. And it's very, very good value for money. I can't find an awful lot wrong with this one. Again, I'm not one to really look at the moans and niggles and areas for improvement and critiques on things. If something sticks out, I may mention it. But generally speaking, as I said in my first video, I buy watches that I like. They have things that I like about them. And if I like the watch, anything that's, a moan or a room for improvement doesn't really bother me. Pretty easygoing. But that Mandela is a great choice. It's reasonably priced, great quality, beautiful dial. You can't go wrong with that watch. All right, thanks for being here today. I do appreciate it very, very much. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you enjoyed the prior one. Like and subscribe if you do. Again, as I always say, if you don't want to, I'm not offended. Your time and your attention is valuable. So do with it as you see fit. I do have a slide on some of the summary of the characteristics of the watches that we looked at here today. I've highlighted a couple of the ones that are either a standout or maybe lagging the pack just a little bit. However, this isn't a checklist where the most pluses add up to the best watch. As always, the best watch is in the eye of the beholder. There is no best anything. Is LeBron better than Michael? Some could argue yes, some would argue no. Is the Maldives better than the Seychelles? The eye of the beholder. Is Messi better than Ronaldo? Yes. Yes, he is. Anyway, again, that's just my opinion. But as I said, hope you enjoyed it today. Hope you'll join me again next time looking at likely dive style watches if I get one of the watches that I've ordered in on time. I'm really hoping that it shows up here soon. But if it doesn't, we will probably do something perhaps on wise watches or maybe dress watches. Anyway, we've got good things ahead of us. So thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you next time. As always, be well, be happy, and be kind to each other. All right. Cheers.